I want arrests. This is not difficult. You intentionally, on the Democrats and on the left, you set out to pressure large corporations that had the reins of power over the distribution of communication, and you pressured them to curtail conservative voices and anyone that you did not like on your political side away from the public discourse, shadow ban them completely, and then you had the balls to sit there and say that you're the most transparent administration ever, and you're the best, most amazing version of anything that's ever happened liberal, ever, and we're the bestest. Oh my God, vote for us again. 80 million votes for the potato. Well, who's ready for some more episode of Amazing? Guys, Google just admitted that they were censoring conservative YouTube channels, and now they are backing off, saying they won't do it anymore. They have admitted they have done it, and they are apologizing in general and putting forward steps where it won't happen again in the future, thanks to Jim Jordan and the Oversight Committee in Congress. Guys, this is a big freaking one. Because I've told you numerous times, we are winning. We are absolutely putting the nails in the coffin of the far left extremism of which we lived under in the Biden administration, and it is bearing fruit. Everything that I'm going to show you right now is going to be linked in the description box below, and if you want to be part of the solution, and you want to be part of the cutting edge to save our country, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn the notification bell on. All right, guys, let's get into this. Normally, I have a bunch of clips. This one, I'm just going to let Jim Jordan do all the talking, because he nailed it. Again, you guys were all alive when Google was killing YouTube channels because they didn't have messaging that worked with the established narrative coming from the Biden White House. They just admitted it. Guys, again, for anybody who says we are not winning, I don't know what else to tell you. Let me show you a few of these things, and I'll just go down a litany of areas of we're winning again in a minute. All right. So from Jim Jordan, representative, breaking, due to our oversight efforts, Google commits to offer all creators previously kicked off of YouTube due to political speech violations to return to the platform. But that's not all. And I'll link the entire thing if you want to read it in its entirety yourself. But I'm going to go through a few of these little points because this happened about 2 hours ago. Okay? YouTube also admits the Biden administration censorship pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Well, that's weird. We now have examples of it happening on X, we have examples of it happening on Facebook, and now it was happening on YouTube. And all these companies magically all of a sudden are admitting it as such. So, two things. One, we're not crazy. We were right. And two, we're going to take back our country because we are sick of it. Guys, this is what you grinding and putting the right people in office and really believing in the system and working through all the oppression that you were under. This is what it looks like. You are actively winning. The time is the throttle all the way to the floor is now. All right, let's continue. Confirms that the Biden administration wanted Americans censored for speech that did not violate YouTube's policies. No kidding. Details when YouTube began rolling back its censorship policies on political, speech after the judiciary began its investigation. States that public debate should never come at expense of relying on authorities. Yeah. Promises to never use third-party fact checkers. Now that's a very important one. And here's why that's such an important one. What these companies like to do, the ones that would engage in the censorship of speech of mostly conservative Americans, they'll say, well, we've hired a third-party fact checker. And it turns out that this is fact check false, so we're going to have to, delete that from the internet because it's not true, it's misinformation. Meanwhile, the companies that are doing the fact checking are far left biased, but don't let that get in the way, Facebook. Guys, this is massive. All right, let's keep on going. Got some more stuff for you. Because again, all the stuff that we've been through, I just want you guys to pat yourselves on the back. Because you went through it, you weathered the storm, you doubled down, tripled down, you grinded for your country, and now you're winning. Again. Over the past few years, we have uncovered massive scandals relating to big tech censorship. Of course, Facebook, X, or Twitter before it was X. We know all about that. During the Biden-Harris years, under White House pressure, YouTube changed its policies to censor political debate on COVID and elections. Today, YouTube admits that the censorship pressure from Biden administration was unacceptable and wrong. Okay, that's good. Now, where are the arrests in the Biden administration for doing this to our civil rights? That's my question. Everyone is all of a sudden magically admitting that the Biden administration was pressuring them to curtail the speech of Americans on the side of the political aisle they didn't like, using technological advantage, and all of a sudden we're going to be settled with a, well, we admit it was not cool and we shouldn't do it again. No. How about the auto pin scandal? How about who was running the freaking government when Biden was a potato? How about any of those things? I don't think that this is going to die without accountability. I could be wrong, but let's just stick on the actual content here. Now, to make amends to the American people, and because of our work talking about the judiciary, they're getting their own little accolades. And you know what? Plant that flag. YouTube is rolling back its censorship policies on political speech, including topics such as COVID and elections. It's weird, the same things that they tried to get us to not have a voice in the public square. It didn't work. Now we're more pissed, and they've lost power for at least the next 2-3 generations in its entirety culturally. Now, they're always going to win more elections at some point in time, but culturally, they have lost all relevance. That's why they're at a 19% approval rating, and everyone relegates the Dems and the left to an eye roll. Let's continue. Jim Jordan says, what does that mean? Whether you were an established YouTube presence with a massive following like Dan Bongino, or just were starting out to express political views there, you will have an opportunity to come back on the platform if you were censored for engaging in political speech. Here's a question for you. Me being in the gun world at this time, what do I get to look into to say how much of my distribution and my impressions and how much of my actual video dispersion was curtailed because it didn't fit the Biden narrative? Where's that? What about all the other channels? Anyone on the conservative aisle? How do we know that we didn't have things cut to like 50%? It's a valid question. That's not addressed in here. But the good thing here, however, is that if they were shut down because of political speech on elections or COVID, they're getting those channels back. Google has folded. All right. Representative Jim Jordan again. This is another victory in the fight against censorship. In August 2024, Meta CEO Mark Zuckerberg wrote the committee a letter admitting Biden administration pressured Facebook to censor Americans. Facebook censored Americans. Facebook throttled the Hunter Biden laptop story, which turned out to impact an election directly. Wow, that sounds almost like everything that you and I were saying openly that we all knew was happening behind the scenes. Turns out it was just confirmed. Okay, let's keep on going. Even as Meta admitted the Biden-Harris censorship was wrong, others in big tech were reluctant to go on the record. Now, Google is acknowledging for the first time that it too faced censorship pressure from the Biden White House, and that pressure was unacceptable and wrong. Okay, one more thing, and then we're going to have a little bit of a emotional release together. But that's not all. YouTube is making changes to its platform to prevent future censorship. YouTube is committing to the American people that it will never use outside so-called fact checkers to censor speech, and no more telling Americans what to believe and not to believe. Okay, well, now we're going to have a little bit of an emotional moment together. I want a rest. This is not difficult. You intentionally, on the Democrats and on the left, you set out to pressure large corporations that had the reins of power over the distribution of communication, and you pressured them to curtail conservative voices and anyone that you did not like on your political side away from the public discourse, shadow ban them completely, and then you had the balls to sit there and say that you're the most transparent administration ever, and you're the best, most amazing version of anything that's ever happened liberal, ever, and we're the bestest. Oh my God, vote for us again. 80 million votes for the potato. Legitimately, arrest. When does accountability happen? That is the entire point. This needs to be addressed. You now have a Biden administration who has been told, we have been told that was pressuring Google, Facebook, Twitter, all the distributions of communication, which is a First Amendment right, was being distributed and pressured down in the algorithm because the White House told them to. And we still kick their ass. There needs to be accountability beyond the fact that they have been completely and totally socially and culturally relegated to a Complete eye roll. The dustbin of history is not good enough for this administration, the Biden administration. We need arrests for whomever was involved in curtailing the speech of millions upon millions upon millions of Americans, of interfering with an actual election. We need consequences. And that's what I've got for you guys. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, and I'll see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.